Hello and welcome back to Rainbow Magician. My name is Mary, and today I have for you not a tarot video, but just kind of a possibly quick message that I want to relay for anyone who is currently going through a dark night of the soul. So if you're unfamiliar with what this means, basically, I feel like if you're watching this video and you feel like you should be watching this video, then you probably already know what this is, and you're probably already in one. So if you don't feel like this resonates with you, then maybe this isn't the right video for you at this time. But basically, a dark night of the soul is a term that is used to describe periods of your life that you go through where you are faced with an immense amount of loss and despair. And this is the part of, in literature, it's the part of a story where it's like the darkest moment that a hero goes through before they find some kind of inner power to then progress them through the rest of the story. So we can take that idea from literature and apply it to our lives. We're all living stories, every single one of us. We're living many stories all the time, and there are going to be times in all of our lives where we have to go through many dark nights of the soul. Many times of facing immense despair and loss, and just a lot of pain, a lot of darkness, a lot of uncertainty. And the reason why I'm making this video is because I was thinking today about what I would have told myself a year ago. Because this past year, I have been through a dark night of the soul. I went through one the year before this 2020 as well. In 2019 and 2020, it was kind of like two separate things that kind of bled into one another. So in my mind, it was kind of like two different dark nights of the soul, but maybe it is also all a part of a bigger picture of a single time period in my life. Maybe I'm not even fully over it. That's another thing I'm going to talk about, is this idea of when are you over it and how do you know that? But I'll get into that in a second. But my point is, I've been through this, okay? And having gone through what I went through in 2020 and in 2019, although it was very intense both times, but I feel like in 2020 it was probably more intense. Having gone through what I went through, there are things that I would tell myself if I could look at myself a year ago or 2 years ago. Things that I would tell myself to prepare me in a way, or just give myself some permission to relax and to be where I am. Because when you are going through this, there is a lot of things that you can do, say, and think that could really just make it worse for yourself. There's a lot of thoughts that you can think to yourself, trying to rush yourself out of it, or trying to make it go away, or trying to prove something. And there's so many different traps that you can get into that really are just going to kind of compound the damage. And so I wanted to make this video for the past version of myself, and for anyone else who is in that position now. And I also wanted to make this video because I feel like there is kind of this glorification of dark nights of the soul that I've seen in some spiritual communities, or even people when they talk about writing stories of characters going through dark nights of the soul. There's kind of this romanticized idea of oh, it's this beautiful thing where you're broken down and then you find this light within yourself, and once you find the light within yourself, you can do anything. And it's like, oh, it's beautiful and magical. And it's like, that is not the full truth of what it looks or feels like when you are actually going through it. So if you have been hearing some of these messages of people talking about dark nights of the soul, and they're all like, oh, just find the light within yourself, and it's you're just gonna find the light in the darkness, or all of these spiritual sayings, these little spiritualisms that people say, there can be some truth to them, and there can definitely be some value in them. I'm not going to say that they're all shit and they're all bad, but a lot of them are not helpful when you are going through it. A lot of them just make you feel worse, and just it just doesn't convey the truth of what it feels like when you're going through it. It doesn't convey the truth of the pain that you're going through. It's like kind of a bypassy way of trying to make it okay. It's like people are so uncomfortable with the idea of someone suffering that they don't even want to look at the fact that you're suffering, and instead they just want to say like, oh, it's okay, you're going to find the light within yourself and it's all going to be okay. And you're like, okay, well, I'm suffering right now, and you telling me that is not helping me. And that can just kind of compound the damage and the isolation and the alienation that you feel when you're going through these things. So I'm here to cut the bullshit on that and to tell you that it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty, okay? And it is not this romanticized thing of, like you looking inside yourself and you're finding this inner strength. Like, yeah, that is going to come. That is going to happen. You are going to find inner strength that you had no idea you even fucking had. That is inevitable. But that is not going to seem like anything that is going to make what you're going through worth it when you're going through it, okay? So don't even, get that idea out of your head. Like, yes, this is for a greater purpose eventually, but don't even focus on that right now, okay? I just want to say that to begin with. Like, all of these spiritual bullshit things that people say about, how this is making you stronger, and, you're here to bring light into the world, or whatever the fuck they say. If it is in any way not helping you, don't fucking listen to it, okay? Just forget about it. Don't fucking listen to it. If it is, all these sayings, like, oh, it's always darkest before the dawn, every cloud has a silver lining, I'm saying there is value in these sayings and there is truth to them, but when you are in that dark night of the soul, that shit is not helpful. So just toss it away, okay? And don't even think about it, okay? So just right off the bat, ignore the bullshit, okay? Rule number 1, ignore the bullshit that does not help you, okay? So I do have a list of other things I was going to say. That's like rule number 0, okay? Because I didn't write that one down. But rule number 0, ignore the bullshit that does not help you, okay? Any of the spiritual bypassing bullshit, disregard it if it does not help you in this moment, okay? That is rule number 0 of going through dark nights of the soul, okay? Rule number 1. These aren't really rules, but just pieces of advice. But the first thing I want to say is nothing has gone wrong, okay? Nothing has gone wrong. This is the first thing that you need to understand when you are going through this, okay? And what it's going to feel like is things in your life are just going to start to fall apart, right? When you're going through a dark night of the soul, again, if you're watching this, I'm assuming that you're already in one, so you don't really need a full explanation. But just in case you're confused, it's going to look like things in your life falling apart, relationships falling apart, jobs falling apart, your mental health falling apart, your emotional stability falling apart, your finances falling apart. Like, every aspect of your life is going to seem like it's falling apart, okay? And it looks different for everyone, okay? For me, it was much more mental health based. It was like not having any kind of feeling of security in my emotions and my mental health. It was like complete upheaval of all of the emotional stability that I had. So it looks different for everyone. For some people, it might be more based in like the physical world, like, you know, your jobs and your relationships and things falling apart. For some people, it's much more internal. And there's always an internal aspect, even if there is also an external aspect. There's always both. But for some people, it's more focused internal, and some people, it's more focused external. So just want to say that it looks different for everyone. But rule number 1 is know that nothing has gone wrong, and it's going to seem like things have gone wrong. Okay, so this almost is kind of like a contradiction to rule number 0, which is don't listen to the bullshit, because you might be hearing me say nothing has gone wrong and thinking that's fucking bullshit. So, you know, remember rule number 0 and keep that in mind. If anything I say sounds like bullshit, disregard it. But I'm telling you this because it is important for you to know that even though it feels like things are going wrong, it's okay for you to feel like things are going wrong. But you have not messed up, okay? This is not anything that you did that is your fault, okay? That's like the biggest thing I want you to take away from this, you know, first rule or first, I don't know. It's not really a rule, like I said. They're just things to know, okay? The first thing to know. It is not something that you did that is your fault, that you have to blame yourself for or try to like make up for somehow. So that's just the first thing to know, okay? It's gonna feel like you messed up somehow, you did something you shouldn't have done, you're gonna have a lot of regrets. So just try as best you can to say, hold the fuck up, okay? I didn't ask for this. I did not ask to go through this shit. You did not ask for this shit, okay? You didn't ask for this. This is not your fault. And even though things feel very, very wrong, you did not do anything wrong, okay? You did not do anything wrong, and things might feel like they have gone wrong, but that is just your perception that you're having right now, and that's okay. But you did not do anything wrong, and you do not need to blame yourself for it or try to figure out what went wrong, okay? There's no use in trying to figure out what went wrong. The point is, it's happened, it's happening, you're in it, so just, you have to change your focus on what you're gonna do now instead of trying to focus on what went wrong, okay? So that's the first thing. Second thing, this is probably the most important message that I'm going to drill in to this video, is you need to find support. Like, for real, like seriously, like you cannot do this on your own. Like, I am telling you, do not even try to think for a second that you don't need anyone to help you through this, because you do, okay? So please focus on finding support, okay? That can look like finding a therapist, finding a healer or a coach, or just reaching out to friends, whoever is in your reality. It doesn't matter, but you need to reach out and find support, okay? You need to take that initiative to reach out, to find people who are going to help you through this, okay? And that doesn't mean that you are putting yourself in a position where you are expecting people to rescue you or to save you, okay? That also might be something that you're tempted to do, and it's okay to feel that way. It's totally fine to want to be saved or to want to be rescued. It's totally understandable why you want to feel that way. But when I say find support, what I mean is that you need other people to be a witness to what you're going through. You need other people to be a witness to what you're going through and to be a witness to your healing. So they are not necessarily going to do the work for you. They're not necessarily going to save you. They are not necessarily going to take all of your pain away, okay? But they can be a witness to what you're going through, and they can be a witness to your healing, and those things are very, very, very important. So find people who can be a witness to what you're going through, so that you don't feel like it is something that you're going through alone and no one's understanding you. You probably are still going to have those feelings, and that's okay, but try as best you can to find people that you trust, that you can feel safely contained by, who can be a witness to what you're going through. And a caveat to this point is to be discerning about who you reach out to for support, okay? because you might be tempted to reach out to people for support who aren't really equipped to deal with what you're going through. There are some people who don't really know how to deal with their own emotions, and so they might not really know how to deal with yours. Okay, there are some people who like to kind of bypass through things and who will just kind of want to distract you and not really want to hear about the pain that you're feeling, or they'll try to minimize it, or they'll invalidate it, or they'll gaslight you. Okay, those are not the people that you want to be reaching out to for support. Okay, so you want to be discerning about who you reach out to for support. So be discerning and choose people who are going to be able to receive how you feel, okay? People who are going to be able to receive your negative emotions and be a witness to them. They don't have to change, they don't have to change them. They don't have to do anything but be present, okay? You just need people to be present for what you're going through. So make sure that you tell people, like, listen, I don't need you to fix me. I don't need you to give me the answer. I just need you to witness what I'm going through. I need you to be present for this, okay? So that is probably the most important thing that I want you to take away from this, okay? The third thing that I have written down, actually, I'm going to switch number 3 and 4. But the third thing that I'm going to say kind of goes along with the second thing, which is do not try to fix yourself or to figure it all out, okay? This will be really tempting. You're going to be like, okay, I'm going through this, so I just have to, like, you know, heal all of my trauma and, you know, work on improving myself, and then I'll be over this, okay? That is something that you're going to think. You're going to think, I just have to figure out why this happened to me, and then I'll be over it, okay? The more that you try to desperately kind of figure it out, the more that you try to fix yourself, the more you're going to suffer, okay? And it's probably going to take you a long time to really understand this, so that's okay. I'm not expecting that everything I say is going to land perfectly. I'm not expecting that you're going to be able to fully take this advice, but just try to hear me out, okay? And try to keep this in mind as much as you can. And if you have to come back to this video multiple times while you're going through this process, then do so. But do not try to fix yourself, especially when you are doing the, like I said, you're not gonna figure this shit out on your own, okay? Like, you're not going to, I mean, you will learn a lot of things through this process, and you will get insights, and you will figure things out. But this is not something that you are just going to lock yourself away and, you know, heal yourself on your own without any support. Just like a one and done kind of thing. Oh, I figured it out, I'm good now. Like, that's not going to happen, okay? This is something that is going to be a very personal process. So you are going to have to do all those things. People always say, look inside yourself, find the inner power, all that shit, okay? But again, don't get it twisted in your head that that is going to be something that is easily done, that you can just, you know, do and be done with, and or that it's something that you have to isolate yourself in order to go through. Like, you will come to those moments of understanding of, this is something I have to choose for myself. I have to choose to keep going. I have to choose what's important to me. I have to choose what I'm going to stand for. Will be those moments where you will have to face that personal choice, okay? But this is not something that you have to do in isolation. And this is not something that you are going to be able to just, like, do a single meditation and heal yourself out of, okay? So get rid of the obsessive need to figure it all out, to be over it, or to fix yourself in any way, okay? Because that is not going to help you, okay? You don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to heal yourself out of this right now, okay? Like, it's okay to take your time. You are going to find the answers that you need. They will come. It is inevitable. It's impossible for you to not learn things from this process. It's impossible for you to not get insights. It's impossible for you to not find the fucking power within, but you don't have to. You don't have to rush that process, okay? That's going to fucking happen. It's inevitable. Don't rush it, okay? Do not rush it. Do not try to force yourself out of it, okay? Fourth thing, own your focus, okay? This is really important. This is like kind of a basic idea of like mindfulness, like spirituality 101. Like what you focus on is what will manifest. You probably know this shit by now, but when you're going through a dark night of the soul, you forget this. You're not really thinking about that, or you tend to think that it's pointless. It's not, okay? Your focus is your power. Own your focus, own your power, okay? Remember that. There is nothing wrong with focusing positively so that you can get yourself to a place where you feel a bit more empowered. That doesn't mean that you are going to completely ignore all the feelings that you're going through, because the thing about a dark night of the soul is that you cannot ignore the negative feelings that you're going through anymore. The purpose of dark nights of the soul is to get you to face all of your feelings, all of your baggage, all of your shit that you've been repressing, that you've been putting off for years probably. So you're not going to be able to ignore it, right? You're not going to be able to push it aside. That being said, you do still have the power. Excuse me, I need to take a drink. You do still have the power to choose what to focus on, okay? To choose where you're placing your focus for right now, okay? So the more you own your focus, the more you will own your power. So you can choose whether or not I'm going to focus positively today so that I can feel better, or I'm going to choose to focus on how I feel and just let myself feel shitty. That's okay too, but it's a choice that you're making every single day. What am I focusing on today? Am I focusing on giving presence to my shitty feelings, or am I focusing on anything that makes me feel better? And neither one of those is wrong, okay? And it's going to be a different choice that you make every day, but it's something that you have to remember to make every day. Today, am I going to focus on doing the things that make me feel good? Am I going to focus on just kind of surrendering to how I feel? And both of those things are valid things that you're going to need to do at different points in time. So just remember that you always have that choice to choose what you're focusing on. And it's something that you're going to have to remind yourself over and over again, every day, every hour, okay? The next thing, number 5, don't even worry about the future, okay? Don't even worry about what you're going to learn from this, what the purpose of all of this was. Again, you're going to figure that shit out eventually. You don't need to know that right now, okay? What you need to focus on is the 5 seconds in front of your face, okay? The 5 minutes in front of your face, maybe the hour, maybe the whole day in front of your face, but no more than that, okay? No more than that, literally, no more than that. Don't even think about what you're gonna do 3 months from now, a year from now. If there are certain things where you kind of have to plan, then, you know, you can do that. But as much as you can, take your focus out of the future and into the immediate time that you have in front of your face, okay? The present moment and the immediate future that's coming, and do things, put things in that immediate future that you can look forward to, okay? So maybe that's making plans to watch a movie with someone, you know, in a few hours, or tomorrow, or in a couple days maybe, but like you don't want to be making plans like way far off in the future, okay? Just focus on the immediate future. What can you do to make yourself feel better in the immediate future? And that is all you need to worry about. The distant future does not exist, okay? For you, it does not exist. It is not important. You need to focus on the 5 seconds that you have in front of your face, and just keep focusing on that until it feels like it's a little bit easier. You'll start to feel like you are able to like see a little further, kind of metaphorically speaking. Like it doesn't hurt as much to like look into the future, and that's when you can start actually planning more things in the future. But if you're in the place where you're like, I can't, like thinking about the future is just making me really fucking depressed, then don't fucking do it, okay? And focus on what you have right in front of your face. And like literally the future does not exist. Don't even think about it, okay? Okay, the next thing, number 6, treat yourself the way that someone who loves you would treat you. Okay, so this is basically my way of saying love yourself. But the way that I like to phrase this is treat yourself the way that someone who loves you would treat you. Okay, it might seem kind of weird, but when you think about like what would you want someone who loves you, so this could be like a romantic partner or a friend or a mother or family member, anyone, the kind of love that you crave most, right? If that person was in front of you right now, what would you want them to do? And then how can you give yourself that experience? Okay, so this is one of the most important lessons that you can ever learn in life, is to learn how to treat yourself the way that someone who loves themselves would treat themselves. And I like to think of it as, what would someone who loves me do for me if they were right here? Okay, like what would I want them to do? So if someone is, if I'm in a lot of pain and I'm crying, like what would someone who loves me do? Would they comfort me? If so, then how can I comfort myself? Okay, and maybe that means that I need to find someone else that I can cry to, because I know that I need physical comfort, and maybe I can't really physically comfort myself as much as I would like. So this doesn't mean that you are not letting yourself be loved by other people. Loving yourself involves letting yourself be loved by other people. Okay, that's very important to understand. Loving yourself does not happen separately from getting love from other people. It is the necessary requirement in order to get love from other people, because you have to value yourself enough to say, I deserve to be loved by other people. I deserve to have that comfort of another person. So what would someone who loves you do for you? And do that for yourself. And that might mean involving other people. Okay, it doesn't mean that you are literally doing everything for yourself, but you are taking the initiative to find those people who can do what you cannot do for yourself. Okay, so that is the way to love yourself without isolating yourself, because that is not how it works. Okay, loving yourself does not mean isolating yourself and only comforting yourself by yourself. Like you can have the comfort of other people and the company of other people, but you have to do so in a way where it is loving to yourself. Okay, so treat yourself the way that someone who loves you would treat you, and let yourself have the comforts that you are desiring. Just make sure that whatever you're doing feels like something that you would give yourself if you were a separate person who was looking at you and was feeling love towards you, taking your best interests as their best interest. What would they do for you? Okay, so that's very important. Number 7, focus on doing anything that brings you relaxation or relief. So again, comfort is not a bad thing. Okay, comfort is not a bad thing. The thing is, you just want to make sure that you're doing it consciously. Okay, you don't want to like swing into any kind of addictive pattern, or there's a difference between using comfort as a way of avoidance and using comfort as a way to support yourself, right? And to help yourself feel empowered. So whatever you're doing, just choose it consciously, okay? Again, this goes back to own your focus, own your choice, own your free will. Whatever you are doing, do it consciously, meaning I'm going to consciously choose to binge this Netflix show right now and not think about anything else. That is perfectly fine and important if that is what you feel like you should be doing. So do that, but it's a conscious choice. It's not like, oh, I don't really know what to do. I don't really know how to deal with these thoughts in my head. Suddenly I'm pulling up Netflix and I'm watching it and I feel like I shouldn't be. But, when you have that kind of like inner dialogue of, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, I should be doing this, but I don't know, maybe I should do this. When you have those kind of, that inner dialogue of like not knowing what you should do, and then you find yourself, going towards a coping mechanism, that's when you stop and you say, okay, can I consciously choose this coping mechanism? Can I consciously choose to comfort myself in this way right now without guilting myself for it, without making myself feel bad for it? You know, if that's what you need right now, then that's what you fucking need. So let yourself have that comfort, okay? But do it consciously, make it a choice, and then you will feel your power come back, and it won't feel so much like you are kind of like chained by these things, okay? So yeah, do what brings you relief, what brings you comfort, what brings you relaxation, okay? Another way of saying this is do what brings you joy. But when you're really in the dark night of the soul, sometimes joy is something that seems like an abstract concept. So if you can't find joy, go for relief or relaxation or comfort. But again, choose so consciously. If you find yourself being kind of subconsciously pulled towards something and you have all these conflicting thoughts about it, just say to yourself, okay, I'm going to consciously choose this right now. Okay, and it might seem kind of weird, and you're like, do I really want to consciously choose to, like, you know, like numb my brain by scrolling through TikTok for an hour? Maybe it seems like something you shouldn't be choosing, but if you make that choice and you make it a choice instead of something that you do subconsciously, then you will start to feel a little bit more empowered in your ability to choose what you're going to do to bring yourself relief, okay? So focus on that. Also do anything you can to find humor, okay? To find a way to take things more lightheartedly. So, like, you know, watch those stand-up, that stand-up comedian, hang out with people who are funny, who will make you laugh. Do anything you can to find a way to not take yourself and the world so seriously, because when you are really down in the depths of despair, it can be really hard to remember that things can be lighthearted and you can find humor in things. So humor can be very powerful when you are going through this. So do anything you can to just kind of lighten yourself up a little bit, okay? Okay, number 8. Kind of already said this a bit, but I'm just going to reiterate. Don't expect this to be pretty. This is going to be a bloody process. This is going to be This is going to be messy. It's going to be messy. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be brutal. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be one and done. So don't tell yourself the story that you have messed up when maybe you start to improve and then you hit a downswing again, okay? This kind of goes along with this point, is the point that it's going to happen in waves, okay? Healing always happens in waves. It always happens, it's kind of like a spiral, really, but it's going to feel like it happens in waves, okay? It's going to feel like you made an improvement and then you kind of dipped down again, and then you made an improvement, and eventually you are kind of like going up, even if you might not feel like it. But basically, just expect that it's going to come in waves, and it's going to be messy, and it's going to be bloody, and it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be pretty, okay? And if you know that, then it's not going to feel like you've messed up when it happens, because it is going to happen where you're going to be like I thought I was getting better and now I'm worse. That's part of the fucking process, okay? That's gonna happen. So nothing went wrong, okay? Again, back to rule number 1, nothing went wrong. You did not mess up. Nothing went wrong, okay? It happens in waves, and it's gonna seem sometimes like you're not even improving at all because you're in a place where you feel like you were lower than you were before. That's still part of the fucking process, okay? And it's not fucking fun. It's not fun. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's not fun. It's gonna suck at times. It's gonna be really fucking brutal and really fucking bloody and really fucking painful, okay? And that's the truth. And just know that that is okay, okay? Like, that is part of the process, and nothing has gone wrong when you feel like things are starting to get, like, you know, worse in any way, that's part of the process, okay? So just understand that things will be bloody. This is not going to be pretty. It's not going to be this idyllic picture that you might have of, yourself going on some kind of inner journey and emerging, and it's all beautiful and pretty. Eventually you might be able to look back on it like that. Eventually you might get to a point in your life where you can look back at this time period and you can see the story arc that you went through, and you can see how it was necessary and how it gave you purpose, and you can find it beautiful. But when you're fucking in it, you're not going to be able to see that. You literally cannot see the full picture. So don't even try, okay? Don't even try, and don't expect yourself to find it to be this beautiful thing when you're in it, because it's going to be bloody and it's going to be tragic, and it's not going to seem like it's worth it at the time, and that's okay. So if you need to be angry and pissed off, then be angry and pissed off and be hurt. Don't try to make it don't try to force yourself to find it something, don't try to force yourself to be in the place where you can find it all, beautiful and find it all worth it. Eventually, you will come to a point where that's the choice that you make. How am I going to look at this thing that I went through and make it something that adds to my experience, and make it something that I choose to find beautiful, make it something that I choose to find that gives me purpose. But that is not a point that you can rush to, okay? Not a point that you can rush to. So don't try to rush there. You're gonna have to be really angry probably for a long time before you can get to that point. So if you need to be angry, if you need to feel like this is unfair and this is cruel, then feel that way. I'm not going to tell you that it's not, okay? Why would I? It is cruel. You shouldn't, this is unfair, okay? And eventually you might change your mind about that and you might have a different perspective. But where you are right now, me saying that is not going to fucking help you, and it's just going to make you feel worse. So it's okay for you to feel like this is fucked up and to feel like this sucks, because it does. So just understand that, okay? Next point. This is something that I would say specifically to myself in the past, and I'm not sure exactly how much this is going to land with everyone, but for myself and for other people who are similar to me, what is something that saved my life in many ways is creating, okay? Create. When you are creating things, any kind of art, right? When you're writing, when you're painting, when you're singing, even if you don't consider yourself to be an artist, I actually do fully believe that all human beings are creative beings, and that we all have an inner artist in us, and that creativity is something that anyone and everyone can use as a way to understand themselves, as a way to get themselves through really hard times. So even if you don't feel like you are an artist, I still want you to listen to this message, and I still want you to consider it, okay? Obviously, you have full free will to decide what parts of this you are going to take and what parts of this you are not going to take. But this is what I would say to myself, and this is what I would say to anyone, even if they don't feel like they're an artist. Create, okay? Create as much as you can, as much as you feel inspired to. And maybe you feel like you aren't really inspired to create. You're like, I'm just kind of in the middle of this big clusterfuck right now. I don't really want to write a novel, and that's perfectly fine and valid. But create for the sake of creating, not because you're trying to get to some finished product, okay? That kind of goes with this whole theme, right? You're not looking for the end. You're not looking for the end goal. You are exploring the process, okay, of creating. So I fully, truly believe that this is something that is necessary to, get through these dark nights of the soul. Is you need to be able to explore yourself creatively. So this means, this could mean journaling for you. This could mean exploring different art mediums, watercolor, painting, drawing, sculpting, anything, okay? But just think of like things that children do naturally. Like children are very creative people, right? When I was a child, like I spent a lot of time like, playing in the mud and making like mud castles and things like that. Like I'm saying, it doesn't have to be like something that's going to end up in the fucking like in the fucking Louvre, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just creating for the sake of creating. When we are creating, we are fully in our power, right? We're in the power of choice, the power of free will. And when you are creating from a place of pain and suffering, you are actually discovering through that process, you are discovering the choices that you have while you are in the middle of that, in that pain, if that makes sense. Like when I'm writing from a place of pain, I'm bearing witness to the pain, and that in and of itself is healing. Because remember, presence is healing. Presence, bearing witness to what you're going through, is healing. So when you are bearing witness to what you're feeling, bearing witness to what is inside you, you are actually giving yourself a healing experience, even if you're not like, directly like giving yourself the answer. You don't have to, like I said, it doesn't have to be anything super profound. You don't have to have that like intention, like when I do this painting or write this poem, like I'm gonna solve all of my suffering. It doesn't have to be like that. But through the process of creating, when you are creating from an emotional place, you are discovering the choices that you have inside of that emotion. You have choices. You have things that you can decide to do, things that you can focus on. Okay, so when you are creating, you are actually training your mind to recognize your own free will. And that is going to be fucking phenomenal for you to gain your power back when you're going through these dark nights of the soul. So I really do believe that creating is something that everyone can do and wants to do. If you just give yourself permission to do it. And again, don't try to be good. Don't try to like, make something that is gonna, win you prizes. I mean, you could very well end up creating a piece of art that is magnificent, that you're gonna be fucking famous for, and hopefully you will. I want that for you. I want that for all of us. But that's not really the goal. Okay, when you're creating anything, the goal is to explore whatever is within you, whatever wants to come out, and you are, through that process, you're discovering your own free will, you're discovering yourself, you're discovering the choices that you have, and you're discovering your ability to find beauty and find pleasure in things, right? Because ultimately when you're creating, you're making decisions based on what you want, what you prefer. I think it sounds better when I, write this line of poetry in here. I think it looks better when I put this stroke of gold over here. Whatever it is, it's like you're making these decisions based on a desire within you, even if you're not fully conscious of that desire. So this is something I could talk a lot more about, and I might make another video about it in the future. But create, okay? Just try it. Don't knock it till you try it. If you don't like it, you don't have to keep doing it, but just try it, okay? Okay, number 10, talk about it. Talk about what you're going through, okay? This kind of goes along with points I've said before, but talk about what you're going through. Do not keep it all to yourself. continue to bear witness to it. Continue to bear witness to it. Okay? A quote that I think about all the time, that is one of the best quotes I've ever read, is from, I think, St. Thomas, or I believe, if I'm wrong, I'll try to correct it on the video, but I think it was St. Thomas, and he said, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you." So that quote, I kid you not, I think about it at least twice a day, because I think that it is one of the most true things that has ever been said. Speak what you're going through. Bear witness to it. Let other people be a witness to it, okay? And this goes along with the creation point, because when you are creating, that is what you're doing. You're bearing witness to a feeling, to an experience. So do not stop speaking about what you're going through. Do not stop telling people about it. Do not stop bearing witness to it, okay? Write it down, get it out, bring it forth, okay? Do not stop doing that. Point number 11. Sorry, my nose is really itchy. Point number 11. Find the present moment as much as possible, okay? Go out in nature as much as possible. This kind of goes with this point, because when you're in nature, it is a lot easier to get into the present moment. So, as much as possible, get into nature, ground yourself as much as you can. You can do grounding techniques and all of those things. Maybe I'll link a video on grounding below if you have no idea what grounding is. There's many different ways that you can ground yourself. But I believe that spending time in nature is something that is beneficial to everyone, right? And it is something that can really help you get into the present moment. So go into nature. Take like a mini trip if you can, or like, you know, go to some nature spot you haven't been to before. Go on a road trip to a nearby like park or something if you can't. Do whatever you can do that can get you into the present moment in nature, okay? The more that you are in the present moment, the more you will feel that sense of relief and that sense of everything might be okay, right? So just remember to get into the present moment as much as possible. Spend time in nature as much as possible, okay? Walk barefoot in the grass, something you can do. Walk barefoot in the grass. Lay on your back on the ground and look at the sky. That's something I do all the time. It works wonders. I don't know what it is about looking at the sky, but seeing like the expansiveness of the sky, it can really help you feel a lot more clear and grounded, okay? So if you like to meditate, you can meditate in nature, go on walks in nature. Just spend time in nature and focus on the things that can ground you into the present moment, okay? Okay, last point is you will keep going. You're going to keep going. You are going to get through this. It is actually impossible for you to not keep going. It is in your blood that you are going to get through this, that you're going to keep going. Time will continue to pass. You will continue to breathe. You will continue to get up in the morning. The sun will continue to rise. And this is probably the point where I'm saying things that might start to sound a little bit like spiritual bullshit, but this is actually not bullshit. You are going to keep going, and you are going to get through this. And to nail home this point, I'm going to read you a poem that I wrote a couple months ago that is something that would have really helped me if I had it a year ago, because I always tend to write things for the past versions of myself, so this is one of those things. And this is not like the most prolific poem in the world. I'm not claiming that it is. It's just a message that really helped me, okay? You will keep going. This was never a question. You might think this is the source of your pain, the fact that you can never find the place where it ends. And as long as you think this, it will be true. But you will keep going. There will be many times you will long for it to stop. The ceaseless tides of everything that toss up and turn up your insides and pull you apart. But this is not really what you want. Deep down, even when all your hopes are ravaged and your dreams burned to ash, even when the water tastes like poison and the sunlight feels like hellfire, you will want to keep going. For one day, you will understand that it is not in where you're going, whether it's up or down or sideways, whether it's forward or backwards, inside or outside. It is not in where you're going, but in the movement itself that you find your peace. It is not about getting better or worse. It is about that singular moment where you realize that a moment is all you have. That singular moment makes it all worth it. And as long as you can find your way back to it, as long as you can remember that within you always is the choice to stand exactly where you are, you will keep going. But of course, you knew that already. It was never a question. Thank you for watching. I hope this helped you. If you want more from me, my links are in the description below. I am offering personal readings at this time, so if you are going through a dark night of the soul and you want support from me in a form of tarot readings, again, I would encourage you to seek support in many different ways and maybe not only rely on tarot readers, but I do have services that might be of use to you. So the links for everything will be in the description. Thank you for watching, and I really hope this helped you. And I see you, I feel you, I've been where you are. We'll keep going.